What's up, Digidestins? This is Kyle D, better known as RideMyAvatar, and today I'm going to be going over the decks that you probably want to play in each color that might actually get you those tops wins in major events. So without further ado, let's dive into EX3's best deck of each color video. Remember, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and comment down below. It helps the video push in the algorithm. And without further ado, let's get into the video. So first off, this is the red deck of choice that I think is going to be one of the best decks to pick from. Yes, we do have Black War Greymon as another runner-up, but I feel like Black War Greymon didn't top as much in the JP format as much as Dragon Link did. Dragon Link actually brought in front and center something really powerful in the power of Hina. Hina lets you, if your opponent has a Digimon in play, gain 1 memory for free, so that extends your plays, extends your turn, everything like that at the start of your turn, which is huge. But when one of your Digimon digivolves into a Digimon with Rock, Earth, Machine, or Sky Dragon is traced by suspending this tamer, activate one of its on play. So we're now able to play all these on play effects that usually are very powerful in themselves. Either on plays that let you play another Hina for free, on plays that blow up something that de-digivolves, something that just sets your opponent back in ways that your opponent is not ready for, is really huge. And we use this ability to pretty much, once we get into our top end, like Volcandricmon here from EX3 himself, delete all your opponent's Digimon with the lowest DP. If no Digimon was deleted by this effect, your opponent can't play Digimon with 5,000 DP or less until the end of the turn. This shuts down a lot of rush strategies. Being able to dig deeper, especially in like blue flare matchups where their digging effects in their champion line are not 5,000 DP. So above 5,000 DP. The only things that are above 5,000 DP in that deck is Metal Greymon and Decker Dramon. So the rest kind of just fall into this burden of I can't be played. Now shutting down that is huge, and especially shutting down, let's say, even Bloom Hydra's effects of being able to play something for free really does help out. This is just really expensive on plays. So this is very important. So the deck has an edge in that field. And then when attacking, if you have a Tamer in play, trash the top card of your opponent's security stack. Free extra damage is huge with this deck. And then we have Metallic Dramon, who is on play, de-digivolve all your opponent's Digimon, then delete one of your opponent's Digimon with a play cost 5 or less. At least you get to pop something. If not, if no Digimon was deleted by this effect, all your opponent's unsuspended Digimon cannot digivolve until the end of their next turn. So if they want to swing in, they're going to have to swing in with resources. And does that always end well? No. Because if they're swinging ahead with a weaker Digimon just so they can digivolve up on it, they're hoping and praying that you don't, A, have a blocker, or B, don't have something scary in security. So that's huge. And this opponent's turn, while you have a Tamer in play, this Digimon gains blocker and reboot. So this card instantly is up and ready to go to take on that Digi-Evolution threat. And then other cards that really help this top end go is Durobrickmon here, basically because all your Digimon are dragon of some sort. They're all different types. It can Digicross for 5 of them. And then basically it has Rush, and it comes in for like 3 costs. And that's another game finisher because delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 3,000 DP or less. For every Digi-Evolution card with traits containing Dragon, Soar, or Ceratopsian that this Digimon has, add 2,000 DP. You can choose with this effect. So that's actually very important because being able to pop something and trade is really good. And then one last kind of tech in this deck is Ragna Lordmon. Because we are playing black and red cards, we can actually Jagresso or DNA Digi-Evolution, and when Digivolving Blitz, when DNA Digivolving for every 4 cards in this Digi-Evolution card, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with a play cost 20 or less, and then trash the top card of the security stack. What gets really nasty is if you have a Metallic Dramon out from raising or anything like that, or previous turn, and then you go into Durobrickmon and you get 5 sources underneath this, then you can just swing in. If they survive, instantly go into Ragnar Lord, game, set, match. Because that is an extremely high amount of resources and instantly kills your opponent. And then all turns, when a card is removed from a player's security stack, unsuspend this Digimon. just another compound power. And the rest are to help you search or play a Hina down, get your abilities off, everything like that. So that's kind of just something to look forwards to with Dragon Link. I think it's going to be a slept on deck a little bit, but then once people start realizing how crazy broken it is, they'll start playing it more and more. Next deck we're going to talk about is in the blue category, and this is going to be none other than Blue Flare. The next deck I'm going to have an honorable mention on top of it for blue is there is another deck that just really close in their statistic win rates. They had like only just a little bit under this in Japan. So let's take a look at it. We kind of know what the deck's central point is. Using Metal Greymon to put Greymon and Male Birdramon underneath for Digi-Crossing. On play, this Digimon gains Rush. Then if Digi-Crossing 3 of your opponent's Digimon with Digi-Evolution cards less than or equal to this Digimon's Digi-Evolution card cannot attack or block until the end of your opponent's next turn. That's going to be very important because now you force your opponent's hand, and stunning them from being able to block really can get ridiculous pretty quickly, especially if you have like Male Birdramon underneath it. Stunning it is just super important, and you just got to take it slow ride. But this card here, Sorai, this card is very important because trashing the top 4 Digi-Evolution cards of one of your opponent's Digimon, all your opponent's Digimon with no Digi-Evolution cannot attack until the end of opponent's next turn. If they magically Digivolve up, they can swing in, but that's fine. We're forcing less memory for them to gain, but being able to strip the top 4 Digi-Evolution cards gets around X antibody, which really is important because you need to not lose that. You want to take the top anyway. Usually the ultimates and the champions are very powerful in their effects, so we can remove that or remove inheritive protections that might have slowed us down. So that's going to help us out immensely. So this card I think is very important to Blue Flare's success future, and you can definitely tech in the Red Greymon in this deck with no issues. Outside of that, it's just a basically basic stun deck, blue hybrid stun ideology with at least the ability to slow down your opponent. So that's very important because even just having Decker Greymon with the ability to put Decker Dramon underneath it, you can just apply enough pressure that your opponent just can't answer it. So being able to stun 3 bodies, up to 4 bodies right in the beginning, or even up to 5 if they have a wide enough board, you're just in golden territory, and just keep removing sources and just apply pressure there. You have enough searchers and draws, with Greymon being one of your searchers, and Decker Dramon for the on-play draw, and then if your opponent, for each Digimon your opponent has, draw 1 more. That can set you up very nicely. And then probably the most powerful memory boost in game, revealing the top 6 cards of your deck, add up to 2 blue flares in this traits among them to your hand. You may play 1 Kyuriha among them without paying their memory cost. Place the rest at the bottom of the deck in any order, then place this in the battle area. Delay gain 2. Blazing Memory Boost is just one of those powerful cards that your opponent might not be ready to deal with. So all in all, the deck has potential. You're going to want to probably, the deck just kind of does itself. The honorable mention that I want to bring up is Examon. Examon is a very powerful deck. It's actually very close to Blue Flare's top winning percentage of the format, so that's just really big in general. The deck revolves around getting into Examon in ways that your opponent just can't answer, and the reason for this is because when Digivolving, you may place 1 green or blue Digimon with Drummon in its name from your hand at the bottom of this Digi-Evolution card. Then when DNA Digivolving, you may play 1 green or blue Digimon card with Drummon in its name, 12,000 DP or less from your hand without paying its memory cost, allowing you to play another 6 to set you back up. Most opponents can't deal with a level 7 and a 6 at the same time because we can't just swing into them naturally. And all turns when this Digimon is suspended, unsuspended, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. Being able to stun is really huge and very crucial. Breaker Dramon here is another big daddy of the format here. Digivolving for 3 on top of Ground Dramon or Wing Dramon. Once per turn, when this Digimon becomes suspended, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. This is where that suspended Examon effects comes from. Once per turn, all turns, when one of your Digimon with Drummon or Examon is his name deletes an opponent's Digimon by battle and survives, trash 1 card from the top of your opponent's security stack. And that effect is also under for its inheritable. So that's really powerful, being able to free damage your opponent by just forcing them to swing in and you just block it. Nasty. And then we have Slayer Dramon here. So all turns when this Digimon becomes suspended, unsuspend this Digimon. By suspending one of your Digimon with Dramon or Extramon in its name, your opponent must attack with one of their Digimon. And it's inheritable as well. Forcing them to attack is important because they're not ready to swing right away. And sometimes what can happen is you stun something else, you lock down something else, and you get rid of a threat. So that's kind of huge there. Then you have like the Ground Dramon that can DNA Digivolve as treating it as a level 6. The same thing with Wing Dramon. They both DNA Digivolve for that. Level 5 can be a level 6, which can snowball into getting into Examon a turn and a half sooner. So bringing into that boss Digimon itself, each one has blocker and evade, which can lead into crazy shenanigans itself. And the deck is very powerful in that regard. I would not sleep on this deck. Both Blue Flare and this deck are very top contenders for the blue slot this time around. And I think that's very useful to just be able to know which one might be more comfortable with your play style. Examon is a very control-oriented deck, while Blue Flare is another stun-based control deck, but it is very aggro-based. So, two different sides of the coin that you want to play on. So, that's just something to think about. Next deck we're going to talk about is in the yellow category, and that is the famous Trial of the Four Great Dragons. You're going to probably go like, but didn't Yellow Hybrid top more? Yes, but Yellow Hybrid just got shot in the foot twice and called it a day. So, I don't know what to tell you here. Yellow doesn't really have any of the very top contenders at the moment because of what has happened is that Yellow Hybrid became like the standard for the decks of Yellow, and there's no way around that. So, Trial of the Four Great Dragons is a very powerful option itself. Main phase, draw a card, then place this card in the battle area. Then delay, play 4 Great Dragon traits from your hand without paying its memory cost. Place the rating cards. Digimon played with this effect cannot digivolve into a 7 is deleted at the end of your opponent's turn. So our goal is to hopefully get blockers or set up some extreme values. So the top end we're going to be able to play with Trial of the Four Greats is Azulomon, because on play, draw 2, and then if this card was played by the effect of Trial of the Four Great Dragons, gain 2 memory. On deletion, if you don't have Trial of the Four Great Dragons in play, you may place 1 Trial of the Four Greats from your hand to the battle area. They all will have this on deletion, play a Trial of the Four Greats in some capacity from your hand. So we're going to skip that for everything else. Then we have Megidramon here. So on play, delete one of your opponent's level 5 or lower Digimon. If this card was played by an effect of Trial of the Four Greats, add one to the maximum level of Digimon you can choose with this effect. So it can pop at least to level 6s. And then, outside of that, nothing too crazy. We know what its on deletion is to play the Trial of the Four Greats. Then we have Goldramon. So Goldramon is when digivolving, you may return 1 card with 4 Great Dragons in its traits from your trash to your hand, which you're just going to grab the option back to your hand and try to cycle that through. When attacking, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 6,000 DP for the turn. Then by returning 1 Megadramon, Azulomon, 1 Megidramon from your trash to the bottom of your deck, trash 2 security cards from your opponent's security stack. This can get into sneaky lethal territory, especially if you apply pressure early enough, and then you go for this for game status, can lead to being really crazy, and depends on your setup and board state. Being able to play a Digimon for free, especially with the rest kind of just cycling in the Trial of the Four Greats, really can be useful. And then finally, Magna Dramon. So all on play, all your opponent's Digimon gain security -1 until the end of opponent's turn. If this card was played by the Trial of the Four Great Dragons, all your opponent's Digimon get minus security check 2 until the end of opponent's turn instead. And then the on deletion is play 1 from your hand. So really useful. We use Durobrickmon because the dragons on the top end can actually lead into being a lethal swing there. What we also have to take into account is that we need Rush, right? The Gatomon and the Vidramon both have inheritables that give Rush to when you play a Digimon with 4 Great Dragons. In its trait, this Digimon gains Rush. So basically, once you get to Ultimate, you're kind of in a good spot, because as long as you have a Vidramon and a Gatomon, you can get this live a little bit earlier. And what's really nice is we're going to use like Nefertimon to basically get this alive a little bit sooner. Sometimes it's harder to get to your ultimates, but if you can get to this with the Digi-Evolution for 0, and then you're live the whole time for your rush play, can lead to being some crazy shenanigans. Outside of that, the rest is just very stock pieces that are in the deck that lets you draw, search, or make blocker, or gain pieces. And then finally, one of the really powerful option, Fatal Flame. One of your opponent's Digimon gets 6,000 DP for the turn, and then you may return 4 Great Dragons in its traits from your trash to your hand, which means the option is 4 Great Dragons. So you can just keep cycling that back. So just something to think about there. Then we're going to talk about green itself. We know the best deck to beat is going to be, Bloom Hydra. We know that the newest card for the deck is Hydramon. So when Digivolving, you may suspend 1 Digimon all turns. When an opponent's Digimon is suspended, gain 1 memory for each other suspended Digimon with Plant, Vegetation, or Fairy, and its Digi-Evolution traits you have in play. The wider the board, the freer value you get. And what gets nasty is, if they can't answer Hydramon, you're kind of screwed. And a turn, if you have 2 or more suspended Digimon with Plant, Vegetation, or Fairy in one of its traits, return one of your opponent's suspended Digimon to the bottom of their deck. So being able to bottom deck a boss Digimon really can get nasty pretty quickly. So, especially since we can almost suspend anything. So, that's something to think about there. Hydramon is just basically Bloomlord's real answer it needed for the deck. Nothing outside of that really comes in from the set besides Hydramon. We already know what Bloomlord does by it having piercing and security checks and getting power for the turn and applying pressure. And he gets self-restanding if you have 2 or more, rested by his gain of memory. So just things like that gets out of hand pretty quickly. What also is really nice is the new Pumumon that is an EX3. When in effect suspends this Digimon, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. So if you suspend with Hydra or for Digizorption, instantly suspending one of their big Digimon down so you can just swing into it and remove it off the board can lead to victories that your opponent was not ready for. So all in all, the deck is going to run solidly. You have Cherrymon to redirect when an opponent's Digimon attacks. You may switch the target of one of the attacks to one of your suspended Digimon. They got a bigger Digimon that can kill your Bloomlord or Hydra, redirected to a rookie. So, something to think about there. Green really stepped it up this time. Next deck we're going to talk about is none other than a personal favorite of mine, D-Brigade. D-Brigade is probably one of the strongest black decks next to Dark Knightmon, but Dark Knightmon doesn't get any new tricks in the set. D-Brigade did. So, first off, we already know a majority of the D-Brigades do. Commandramon here has the new one from EX3 is Decoy D-Brigade. So basically, if they're going to try to kill one of your D-Brigades earlier than you're ready for, you can decoy and just basically pop it for itself for the protection effect. New card like Sealdramon that has jamming. This applies pressure. And then when one of your other Digimon with D-Brigade in trait, that Digimon gains rush for the turn. So if you can get a stack going, can lead to being some nasty shenanigans. Especially with the new Tankdramon that gets a free D-Brigade out of the deal. When Digivolving, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. You may play 1 Digimon with a play cost 5 or less, and with D-Brigade and its traits among them without paying its memory cost. Trash the remaining cards. That's going to be useful. Being free bodies really does help out, and it fuels the graveyard, which this deck needed. And then Tankdramon, when one of your Digimon with D-Brigade and its trait attacks, reveal the top 2 cards of your deck. You may play 1 Commandramon among them without paying its memory cost. Trash the remaining cards. I love it. I love how much synergy this deck only needed a couple cards to really just push itself over the edge. Right now, it's very competitively viable, but now it even gets more competitively viable, And also, it got one last new boss Digimon in a Darkdramon here. So when one of your Digimon would Digivolve into this card by returning up to 5 cards with D-Brigade and its traits from trash to the top of your deck. For each card returned, reduce the G-Evolution cost by 1. So this can get really cheap pretty quickly. And then your turn, once returned, when you play another Digimon with D-Brigade and its traits, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with a play cost lower than or equal to the played Digimon and unsuspend this Digimon. He gets 2 swings minimum, and that's going to be huge. I think that's very important to pay attention to, the multiple swings on this thing, because sometimes that's all you need to get to wins. Outside of that, you're just going to try to control the board with Death X, your Ultimate Flares, and Kongu, just to be able to slow down your opponent. Something to think about there. And lastly, for purple, this was tough because it's really going to be a toss-up. I don't know how Purple's going to do this format. My Nervamon is very, very weak to that blue option. So if Blue Flare takes dominance, then my Nervamon kind of just can't loop. And loop is struggling this format even as we speak. And it's going to be very weird. Especially because people can play around my Nervamon's effect very easily. And that's like the big disadvantage here. So I had to go with Ophani Loop because I think that's the most beneficial purple deck you're going to get for the set. I mean, being able to use Ophanimon fall down mode to pop itself and then get a Gatomon out of the deal can really go the extra mile. Using like Calling from Darkness, even though it's limited to one, we were only playing one, can set you up. And it just gets really crazy when you can do Mastemon, get a free damage out of the deal with playing a free Black Gato, which can lead to even more shenanigans because that's possibly 3 damage right there in one turn, one being a free damage check. So that can just be amazing in itself, right? You know, use Angelwomon X Antibody to recovery 1, get minus security. But, you know, you also have Angelwomon here that is on play, security -2, and all that good stuff there. You know, you use Psychmon to slow down your opponent, Gazi to slow down your opponent, Ogremon to get the extra security check when you need it, and all the good stuff here. You know, we use Avenged Kidmon to cycle back all our options when we're close to deck out. Chaos Degradation is just such a powerful option, regardless of what format it is in. It's just, there's no negation outside of Kongu to shut this down. And then you have Flame Hell Scythe. One of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 6,000 DP for the turn. Then you may play one purple or yellow Digimon card with 6,000 DP or less from your trash without paying its memory cost. So basically you get Angelwomon back, or Gatomon, or Black Gato. All the fun, good stuff. So, all in all, though, the deck really didn't change much, I think. The only card that really techs in is Venusmon, and that is all your opponent's Digimon get minus security 1 until the end of turn, stalling it out, which can help you out win game. Opponent's turn, all your opponent's Digimon with security attack can't attack this Digimon and can't activate when attacking or when Digivolving effects. So, all in all, great stuff here. I mean, the deck is powerful. You're going to see this probably do a little bit better, I think, in this format, just with the options it has. And with Yellow Hybrid getting another hit on top of it is just really probably pushing this to be one of the few control decks minus Setcon. So, I don't know. What do you guys think of my picks? Is there something else I should have picked? Let me know down in the comments, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Remember, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace!